Hey, honey, we are live.
Hey,
So you're good?
I'm good.
All
So
right. So how are you doing today, Monique?
I am good, and you?
I'm doing pretty good. First and foremost, I would like to thank you so much for being on Life Hurt Podcast to share your testimony and talk about no more residue. It is so important to me for you ladies to get your stories out and let people be able to hear your testimonies.
Yes. Thank you for having me. Thank you for supporting this project, No More Residue. We really appreciate that. Thank
Thank
you so
you.
much.
You're some beautiful ladies, I'm telling you.
Thank
You really are.
you.
So, so tell me a little bit about yourself.
So I let's see. By day, I'm a project manager. Been doing that for about 20 years in the IT field for financial industry, Fortune 500 companies. Um, I own a business called Velvet Cakes by Gwen. I've been doing that business for about 11 years. We offer custom cakes and cupcakes and cake pops for your special occasions. Um, and then I guess I'll say for me, I am a twin. I have a twin brother, Dominique, and I have a sister and a brother.
That
And this journey of my life has it's been a lot for me. I've overcome a lot. I think we have something in common. You lost your mother. I lost a mother as well.
wow.
Yeah, to breast cancer. And actually, today's her birthday. So I picked this day especially to honor her and promote, no more residue. And
Yeah.
my story in the book, Stuck in the Bottle. So,
Oh wow. Well, sorry for your loss with your mom.
thank you.
And with me experiencing it, it's rough.
Yes.
It's funny. People will say as time go by, it'll get better, but I feel like some days it gets worse.
Yeah, well, with time, you learn how to cope. That's what I will say. And
Yeah.
some days are better than others, and you'll miss her, every day.
Yes.
So,
Yes, definitely missing her every day. And it's so funny. On the 25th, it'll be a year.
oh wow. Well,
Yeah. So
congratulations, you made it almost to a year, and you're doing well.
thank you. That means a lot.
Um,
So, what inspired you to be a part of No More Residue?
so this is an interesting story. I actually found Crystal on Facebook. I was at a point in my life where everything had changed for me. I was starting over. I was looking to pick up the pieces of my life from an emotional standpoint, from a
Mm.
mental standpoint. From the outside, I looked fine, but on the inside, I was dying. And I had caught Crystal on a live that she was doing about the shift. And that's how I kind of met Crystal. And then I became a part of her personal life coaching program called Crystal Clear Communications.
Mhm.
And within that is how we came about the book project. She's a visionary, so she saw me writing a book, and I, was like, I don't know about all that. I don't really have anything to write about. But as we did the sessions, we talked about a lot of things about life and a lot of things that happened to me and how I overcame them. And she helped me get some clarity around my life. And she came to me about the book project, and she said, I have an idea. And she said, and I think this is where God's leading you to write your story, to tell your story about your life. So that's kind of how No More Residue happened. And I kind of was very hesitant, but I jumped right on board and said, sure. I had built a trust rapport with Crystal and other ladies to start the project.
Wow. That is amazing. Even for you to just meet someone, just seeing them on Facebook, and you like, she is doing amazing things. And it's no greater feeling than seeing another woman inspiring another woman. Then you find yourself inspiring someone else
Yeah,
to meet someone like Crystal. That's amazing. It's a
yeah.
blessing. So what was it like working with her?
Um, in the beginning. I was probably the most challenging. I had a lot of pushback because for me, it required me to open up. It required me to open up and talk about my story, which is something that I never really have done. But Crystal helps pull those things out of you by identifying the issues, like the fear I had, the shame I had around what I'd gone through in my marriage. She helped pull those things out and identify them and had me kind of face them head on. And she said, "This is why I want you to write your story." She said, "Because somebody needs to know what you went through."
Wow.
Yeah.
So, obstacle did you come across within the chapter of yours?
So my first challenge in even trying to figure out what I was going to write about and how it came about that I was going to write about stuff in the bottle, it was me really accepting the fact that I had been in a relationship where I lost me.
Wow.
I put another person before me. I put down Velvet Cakes by Gwen to be in this relationship. I stopped listening to God. I did a lot of things that I kind of unknowingly knew that I had done, but I had become stuck, so to speak, in this bottle where there was space at the bottom, but when I looked out, I couldn't see anything wider than the neck of that bottle. Um, it was scary because I was in a relationship with someone that had an addiction.
Wow.
And I thought that our love would get us through that.
Yeah.
I thought I was enough and that, we could handle this together, you know. Um, and along the way, I lost me. Along the way, I stopped listening to God.
Yeah. A lot of times us as women, we're nurturing, we're caring, we're giving, we're so many things, and we always feel like we just have these major superpowers
Yes.
of helping the men in our lives to create a peaceful life for them.
Yes.
And it's a lot of times we lose ourselves because our focus is on them so much.
Yes.
And it's not even the fact that, it's the missing piece. It's just we want happiness. So if we like, okay, if he's happy, I know that I will be happy too.
Exactly. That was one of the things that I found myself doing, like, oh, as long as everything's good here, then I'll be good. But I didn't realize that I was really damaging Monique in the process. I was really like losing my ability to hear God. I had became very quiet about some things to my friends and my family. I was more embarrassed because I was found myself in a situation that I probably shouldn't have been in, you know, trusting and believing that things would get better. Kind of, what is it, the glass half full or half empty. Like I had this hope that everything would just, pivot and turn a corner. And I poured my whole self into another person.
Man, that's a tough thing. When did you actually realize that you actually was doing all of that? Like, what was your breaking point? Like, okay,
Um, it
okay,
was so, Yvette, it was so many things that I had missed. I think the breaking point for me is when I really started looking at other people's relationships, even like on TV, the TV shows you watch.
yeah,
Um, and I was looking like, wow, I'm like, their relationship is nice. I'm like, I don't have that. That doesn't look familiar to me. How come I don't have that? Like I started really looking outside, not to say that my relationship had to mirror anyone else's, but I started looking and noticing things that just were absent.
Mm-hmm.
My breaking point, I think, was when I started having just some health issues.
Wow.
You
Yeah.
know how they say stress
Just as I say, stress.
stress will give you different ailments and things going on in your body that you just can't figure out. Um, and you go to the doctors and you're like, oh, and then they saying, well, it's nothing, and it's you start thinking maybe you're just crazy.
Yeah.
Um, so I had a lot of those instances where I was, going for this and that and couldn't figure out.
Yeah. It's just it's a powerful reaction of the things that goes on in our mind.
Hmm.
Body will react to it. So if we feel ourselves like, oh, I'm getting sick, I don't feel good,
Hmm.
whatever sickness that we have going across our mind, our body is going to develop that same type of sickness.
Yes,
It's gonna we gonna find ourselves getting worse and worse as
true.
we progress. And you be like, man, like I really don't feel well. I had this, and then you get to looking up stuff like, oh my god, what is wrong with me?
Right. I was doing that. And I think my true breaking point was the light bulb went off for me one night. I knew I had to get out, but I didn't know how to get out. Um, and I said a prayer to
Wow.
God. And I was embarrassed to even ask him for it out, you know.
Mhm.
But I said a prayer and, I cried. And it was a different type of cry. It wasn't a cry of like losing like my mom or someone else. It was a cry of like I felt like I died that day.
Wow. So what was it that transpired to even make you get to that point? What was that thing that happened to you?
Um, I had a friend come up to me and say, I don't recognize you.
Wow.
And I didn't understand what she was saying because, I looked back and forth in the mirror at myself and, I was like, what does she mean? She, like, I'm fine. But she said, I don't recognize you. You're not the Monique that I know. Where's the Monique that I know?
Hmm.
Now, mind you, she had said that to me like a year before I had decided that I was going to get out of this situation.
Hmm.
But it was that stuck with me, that prayer that I did, and the fact that I looked around, there was no one else around but me.
Wow.
I had isolated myself to the point where there was no one else. And I was faced with this, you know. Um, and Crystal worked, by the time I got to Crystal, I was lost. I was a lost person, you
Wow.
know. And I thought that I was healed from being stuck in this bottle. I wasn't. And when she asked me to write that particular story about my relationship and overcoming that and how I lost, contact with God, I was like, I don't want to write this story. I really don't want to write this story. And when I started writing it, man, when I tell you, um, healing from the inside out,
Wow.
it takes a lot of work. A
Yeah.
lot of work. So when you hear about that residue that was in there that had to be released, you understand? So
Yeah.
that title is so befitting, at least, for me and the other 16 ladies. I know it resonates with them, but that residue that I was still holding on to, I didn't realize I was holding on to it until I had to put pen to paper.
Wow.
When you're writing your own personal story and you want something better for yourself and you have to face your truths, face them,
Whole nother level.
whole nother level.
Emotions go 500 miles per hour.
Yes, listen.
I don't want to write this. I don't want to put this in here. What they
I was in here like, I ain't writing this story. I threw the book across the room. I ripped up some stories. I ripped up some lines. When I tell you I was in here rebelling, I was rebelling because I did not want to share this truth.
Wow.
Because it meant that I had failed Monique so much. I did a lot of things I said I would never do when it came to a relationship. I did everything on that list I said I would never do.
So when you first met him, did he have this addiction? When you first developed as time progressed, or he just never done it around you?
I would say that it was always there. I just never noticed it.
Wow.
I would say I probably had blinders on. I mean, who was to say how? I didn't know the signs, you know?
Right.
I didn't know the signs. I didn't know what to look for. I was like, I thought everything was fine. I mean, there were a few things where I felt like, he needed to work on but they weren't deal breakers.
Right.
Um, yeah.
Wow.
When you are in love, sometimes have blinders on.
Yes. And you just want to fix it.
Right. What I want to say? Those blinders make you miss the red flags that have probably always been there, but you just don't see them. He was not a bad person, he really wasn't.
Right.
He was a good guy. He just had this issue. And this issue, I allowed myself to pick it up and carry it. And I thought that if it was just him and I focusing in on it together as a team, we could do it. Our love could conquer this thing,
Mm-hmm.
And in the process of doing that, I became this enabler of the behaviors, not realizing that's what I was doing.
How long did you let this continue for it to get you to this point?
It's 3 years. 3 years in.
That's a long.
Well, we'd been together longer than that, but married 3 years.
Married 3 years.
Yeah.
Wow. Did you guys have children? No. Okay. So how is it that you feel that your story is just so important to our listeners to be able to get No More Residue to read your story?
I think my story is important because regardless of the type of addiction, or the relationship that you're in where you have to give up yourself wholly and you become the everything in the relationship. I think it's important for women and men to know that it's not okay to do that.
No.
You cannot give from an empty vessel. You understand? If you are taking care of another whole adult, you cannot function. You're not functioning. It's going to take one major thing for everything to crumble. There's no foundation built. So, and I want to let people know that if they're feeling stuck, there is a way out, but you just have to find that strength through the Lord.
Yes.
I had to reestablish my relationship with God first.
How was that journey of you,
sister?
Because you could. It's like one thing you establishing it, knowing that it's a problem there that needed to be solved. But once you start working on it,
listen,
a whole nother level, and then you gotta be held yourself accountable too.
Yes, exactly. So for me, God comes to me one of two ways: either in my dreams or if I'm by water.
Ooh.
Yeah. And let's say we had a lot of dreams, okay? A lot of conversations, a lot of not sleeping. And when that happened, I started journaling.
Wow.
And that journal was my safe space during that time. And I felt safe enough to put those words in there. And I felt safe enough that no one could see them and I could hide that book, you know?
Mm-hmm. We always say the safest place to put something is in a book.
Now look where it is now in another book, No More Residue.
Yes. How did you feel? Like, how do you feel now that your testimony is out there and people are listening? They may even read it, hear about it. How do you feel about that?
That, let me tell you, I'm happy that I wrote my story Stuck in the Bottle. I'm excited about it. I'm excited about the other stories in the book as well with my other co-authors. But I'm nervous because I'm nervous for people to read my story. You understand? Like, it is a very thought-provoking story. It will touch you to the core. It will resonate with parts of that story, even if you haven't gone through what I've gone through.
Wow. So when someone reads your story, what impact do you want them to have after reading it?
I want people to know that it's never too late to get out. Um, I want them to know that God will make a way. You just have to establish the connection with Him, hold tight. He will give you the answers in the time, but you have to be connected to Him and let people know that you are enough. Never dim your light. You are enough. If you don't mind, I'm going to read just a little something to give people to be encouraged.
Yes. Go
And
ahead.
it is kind of my affirmation that I live by, and I read it day to day. It's one of my affirmations from No More Residue. So this is what I want people to resonate with, and they can use this however they want. So I say that I'm cleansed and free, a dear new me. I'm staying true to myself. I accept who I am, strong, confident, and beautiful, living unapologetically. I am love. Love you first, love you more, and let God lead the way
Wow. Hey, that's something that you just live by every day.
every day.
So, in the process of you saying, love me first, how important should women know that it is to love themselves first and have an important relationship with God?
It is important for women to love themselves first, meaning self care, meaning going to therapy. And there's nothing wrong with therapy. Go to therapy, get the help that you need because it'll help you heal yourself from the inside. Because once you're healed here, it resonates on the outside.
Yes.
So if it's therapy, if it's losing weight, if it's addressing your truths, if it's setting yourself free from some mistake that you made, forgiving yourself, do that. Spend
Yeah.
your time in the word. Spend your time. If you got to lay out on your living room floor and just cry out, shed those tears.
Okay. Let it go.
Let it go. Because let me tell you something. Life is short. Whatever it is that you're stressing about that you think is the biggest thing that's wrong in your life, it's not. It is small compared to everything that's going on right now in this world. Let it go. Let that residue go. No More Residue is the book. If you're looking for ways to overcome challenges in your life, from addiction to sex, whatever it is, relationships, just all those things, read the book, buy the book. It is for you. It is for anyone that's stuck in what area. It doesn't have to be a major thing. If it's
Right.
whatever, the book, No More Residue, the title alone
Man, it's powerful.
is powerful.
It really is because it grabs like Man, what is this about? And we at a point in our lives where everyone needs to focus on healing themselves, doing things for themselves, because we have developed such a negative environment
Yeah.
so much. It's like we need to put ourselves in a peaceful environment for ourselves to even keep our sanity, to keep things going. We
Mm.
got to aspire and uplift other women. And it speaks volumes itself for 17 women to come together and be in one book.
Yes. I mean,
That's powerful itself for Crystal to even do something like that, because it's so rare for women to even do something like that, because we are so focused on so many other things instead of
exactly.
what's in front of us and how we can empower millions of other women.
Exactly. I mean, we're talking about fear, shame, abuse, all these things. There's 17 stories. And I know there are women out there that can find themselves in one of those stories and no more residue.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe this book is timely for where we are. And I just hope that everyone will just buy the book,
Yeah.
purchase it as gifts for other people that you know may need this book. It's something in there for every woman.
Yes, definitely. So even with you dealing with the fact of your ex
Mhm.
um having a drug addiction, have you done anything as far as to give back to individuals that are suffering from a drug addiction? Or do you have any advice for someone that's battling that, or have someone, a loved one that is doing that right now?
So the addiction was alcohol.
Okay.
Um, I have not, but what I have done for myself is that I've gone through just educating myself on the symptoms and
Okay.
then letting people that are in situations that may not be safe for them to let them know that I'm a safe, if they need me, I'm there for them. I'm a trusted source. Um, I want people to know that if they need help, they can come to me. That's how I've opened myself up at this point. Um, and that's probably the next page in my journey is to do what you just said. Maybe look at offering some type of solutions. Right now, um, my focus, which I've been very busy in, is Velvet Cakes by Gwen. That's kind of been taking up a little bit more of my time.
Okay.
But I'm hoping that in the next few months that I can create some opportunities for coaching or just offering my services to someone as far as helping them get out of those situations.
Wow. So how would you want your story to actually help a lot of women right now?
I would say that in this age where we are, women, we're powerful, how I think my story will help them is showing women how I overcame a situation with addiction. How I overcame, how I uh, got rid of that residue in my life, and how I've restarted, and how I am allowing God to lead. Um, I think is what I want them to see is that they are enough and that they can overcome whatever challenge they may be stuck on. That's what I want them to know. It's okay to be where you are. It's not the end of the road. You
Yeah.
can rewrite your story.
Yes, definitely. And what you saying, you can rewrite your story. A lot of people be stuck on their past and think they past dictates their future. When your future is a whole new journey for you. You waking up, God said, get up, and you waking up, you could create a whole new path of life for yourself. You do not have to be stuck exactly where you are today. And a lot of people need to take heed to that and continue to hear other people. Just, it's like we didn't do things overnight.
Exactly. This was
We
not
didn't do things
overnight, honey.
overnight.
This is what's
A
this?
real life job
Right. This has
with
been 3 years.
overtime.
Right. This has been 3 years working on this, and I'm still working on me. But
Yes,
I'm definitely
still
at another
growing there.
phase of working on me. And it's not an overnight thing. We get a blank slate every morning that we're given another day at life, that God gives us another day of life, a gift.
Yes, you have a whole right to tell someone, like if you seen someone yesterday and you go to sleep, you wake up today, be like, the person you seen yesterday isn't the same person today.
Exactly. That's perfect. Yes, exactly. You get a clean slate and you're a new person each day.
Yes, because we learn from our mistakes. We have lessons for a reason to not continue to do those same patterns that we continue to do. We're breaking generational curses every day. Who's perfect? I'm not.
Nobody. I'm perfectly imperfect.
Yes, and that's what makes us so unique. But if we're honest with our path and we're honest with the things that we're going through and we're continuing to help people daily, it's like when you speak your testimony, it's a whole new chapter of your life that's getting ready to begin because God wanted you to release that to move forward.
Exactly. And that's the thing. You have to release it.
Yes.
And if not, at the in a bottle, it's that residue in there. If you don't clean it out, it's still gonna be there, right?
Oh yeah, it's gonna be there.
But when you start working on that inside, from the inside out, cleaning it out, that residue is removed. There's no more residue, and you're no longer stuck in the bottle.
You know what I used to do is when people say certain things, I'd be like, "That's personal. I have nothing to do with that."
But sometimes, hey, they think you can help. I don't know. You got to do the work, though.
Yes,
you got to do the work.
Yes, and that's the thing. Like the Monique someone sees today, you wouldn't even be able to recognize the Monique in the past.
Listen, these last few months since this COVID thing hit, and I'll post a picture. People are like, "Why are you so happy? You're just glowing. What's going on with you?" I'm like, y'all don't know what I went through to even get glow. Okay,
yes,
that story.
But you know what's the good thing? A lot of people don't know when you find your peak of your happiness and you finding your peace, you finding yourself, you loving yourself, you will notice who was disturbed by that and who always wanted you to stay that way because it made them feel good because they weren't on that level yet.
Right.
So now that you surpass them with the love that you have for yourself, it irritates them even more.
So true.
And it motivates you even more.
It does, because you find out who's for you and who's not. But I got a tight circle, let me tell you.
Yes.
I got 2 tight circles.
That's good.
I got my crew, and then I got my ladies of No More Residue.
So that's a great circle.
We link. We like this.
That's good.
If you getting in, that means you good. If you on the outside, okay, fine. I know I'm not for everybody, and it's okay, but I love you still.
Yes, and it's okay to love from afar.
Yep.
So I'm really proud of you to even just taking that first step.
Thank you.
Like it's literally a first step because a lot of people don't know that you were battling a relationship of someone having an alcohol addiction.
Yeah.
So now that you letting it go, you have so much more coming your way of a blessing.
Ooh, let me tell you. That runway, boy. I'm ready for it, though. I'm ready.
Yes, you have to be. I got some plans for you.
Listen, yes, he does. He has already exceeded my expectations for 2020. Let me just tell you.
Yes. So what's some encouraging words that you could say to our listeners right now?
I would say always be true to you. Find your happy place. Find your peace.
Yes.
And most of all, put yourself first. It's okay. Because once you have you together, you can be everything you need to be to this world. What God has for you. You can do what he has for you once you have you together. You can't do that on an empty, you can't pour out from an empty vessel.
Mm-hmm.
And I would encourage people. I think that No More Residue would help them. gift it out for Christmas. The holidays are coming. I encourage them to buy the book because I think it will surprise them.
Yes, definitely. Can you let people know how can they purchase your book?
Yes, you can go to www.nomoreresidue.com/Monique and purchase the book. Um, Also, today is would have been my mom's 68th birthday.
Okay.
And I'm asking over the weekend, my goal is to sell 68 books. So if you can just click that link and purchase the book, No More Residue, and read my story, Stuck in the Bottle, along with my other 16 co-author stories, we would greatly appreciate you.
Yes. So y'all make sure y'all go out and buy it. It's to a point where it's 17 women sharing their personal stories. Where can you find that at? You can't find that these days, and we're on a path of healing. We're on a path to inspire and uplift other men and women.
Yes.
The book do not discriminate.
No, it does not.
So we need everyone to go out and purchase No More Residue because it's very, very important for us to actually see that you aren't going through the same thing, or you are going through the same thing, but you can help someone else too.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much, Monique. I really appreciate you.
Thank you, Yvette. This has been awesome. And I love your podcast. Thank you. And thank
Thank
you for
you.
supporting No More Residue.
Yes, I love it.
Righty.